Christmas, come and see. Every day a new face, join the spree. From trials to tales, it's all so bright. Let's celebrate and stream tonight. Old and new friends, big and small, streamers unite, we welcome all. Get cozy, grab your cocoa, don't be late. Join the fun, it's gonna be great. Creators for Christmas, come and see. Every day a new face, join the spree. From trials to tales, it's all so bright. Let's celebrate and stream tonight. Old and new friends, big and small, streamers unite, we welcome all. Get cozy, grab your cocoa, don't be late. Join the fun, it's gonna be great. Creators for Christmas, come and see. Every day a new face, join the spree. From trials to tales, it's all so bright. Let's celebrate and stream tonight. The holidays are here, so let's unite. Creators from near and far in the limelight. Together we shine, spreading joy and cheer. Streaming side by side, the best time of year. Creators for Christmas, come and see. Every day a new face, join the spree. From trials to tales, it's all so bright. Let's celebrate and stream tonight.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whoever you are, what, if any, you might be. And welcome to another Creator for Christmas, where we will have a very new creator on today. We'll have a fresh face on. Before I bring on our new friend, there's a movement going where we are trying to get Legal Vices to 100,000 subscribers. So his family can receive the silver play button from YouTube. That's 100,000 subscribers. If you haven't already, please, in memory of Jeff, go to his YouTube channel and follow it. It would be a wonderful send-off that the community could give him to give his family a play button. I don't think most of his family even knew how big a star he was on YouTube. So if you might want to do that, it'll be a wonderful gesture. But today it is, of course, it's also about Jeff. But today it's about meeting a new creator, and Yolie-yo, is that the right way to pronounce it? I'll probably butcher it.
It's like yodeling. You should be familiar with yodeling.
Oh, well, no. I am only 16 hours away from the Alps, so yes, in Europe that's a long, long, long way.
It's Yolie-yo-law. Yoli is short. Yolie-yo-law. Mm-hmm. It's short.
Yolie-yo-law.
Yeah, Yolie is short for Yolanda.
I'll butcher it many a time. I have a wonderful mod out of Texas called Iris. She's named Irish on this channel because she spells it wrong, so she has to live with me mispronouncing it all the time.
You can just call me Yo. I mean, it doesn't matter if that's easier for you.
Sounds a little like I'm a 16-year-old kid with a backwards-facing cap. I'll try and do it. But thank you so much for joining me. And all of these streams, I have started out with the simple question: why YouTube?
Yeah, okay, I can answer that. So it started with COVID and the lockdowns. And so I'm an attorney and I'm a civil litigator. And so when COVID happened, things just came to a close. I mean, I couldn't do anything because I rely on the courts. You know, I do court stuff. And everything shut down. And so literally I was bored. And mainstream media, I wasn't too happy with that. Hi, Wendy H. I wasn't too happy with that. And so I started looking at alternate venues. And then I found YouTube, and I would watch YouTube every now and then. But I mean, I didn't even have the app for YouTube. I would find YouTube channels on Google or whatever. And then things started to open up. But for the civil attorneys in California, it was, you know, the criminal trials were so backed up that the criminal trials had to go first, because they have a right to a speedy trial in the United States. And so the courts just never got back to it. I mean, delay after delay after delay. And so I couldn't really do my job. And so I had a lot of time on my hands. And even in November of 2022, I still couldn't do anything because all the criminal trials were going first. And so this did not motivate insurance companies for what I do, which is medical malpractice. It didn't motivate them to settle because there was just no deadline. It was just perpetual, like until they get it together. And so in November 2022, the Idaho 4 case happened. And since I've always had an interest in true crime, I started listening to that case. And first it was mainstream media, but then I just, as an attorney, I could tell that mainstream media wasn't, I didn't trust it so much. And so I started looking at alternate things, and I started following some YouTubers who were covering the Idaho 4 case. And, you know, I was a lurker. I never chatted. I'm pretty introverted. You know, people wouldn't think that I do what I do in a trial. Like, I have a different side to me. It's like a lot of doctors are afraid of me, but when you look at me, you would never know. And I'm nice. I'm not threatening, but you put me in a courtroom and I'm like an actor, different person. So, you know, I was always lurking in these discussions. And I realized that, you know, it's a lot like a jury. You know, you have these people in these groups that are discussing things, and I would watch the discussions, but I wouldn't chat. And you see how everybody comes together for something. You know, they either have an opinion, and these groups are with that opinion, and then others disagree. And then, you know, you have a back and forth. And it's kind of like, it reminded me of what a jury must be like when they're discussing the cases. So eventually the Idaho 4 case got so crazy because the probable cause affidavit. Oh, hi, Skybell. Thank you. Anyway, the probable.
I don't know. You're not used to doing live. I'll pull up whenever I see something that and say hi to people and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just so if you see them pop up, it's chat is really engaging. So
no problem. I've been on a lot of lives. I just haven't done a live myself. But so the probable cause affidavit was outrageous, and I, as an attorney, like, I could qualify to be a judge, and I'm looking at this probable cause affidavit, and I'm looking at it like, how could some judge sign this? Like, I'm looking, it makes no sense. It's really bad. That's all I'll say. So I started getting into the case, and they started having hearings on the case, and they were live streamed. And I was following a certain creator, Evil CJ, and he had a call-in show. And one day I was so frustrated because I got kind of obsessed with this case. Okay. Because keep in mind that I was not working like I was. I mean, before COVID, I was going all over the country, taking experts' depositions, because that was before Zoom. Now everything is by Zoom. So I had a lot of time on my hands. I was watching this, and I sort of got a little obsessed with this. And everybody close to me was tired of me talking about this Idaho 4 case. They were like, okay, you need to. So I kind of just stopped talking about it, but I had to talk about it. So one day I called into this show, Evil CJ, and I had to make my thoughts known. Like, I went off, and I thought, you know, I got to get it out somehow. So I did it. And then he invited me to be a guest. And so I became a regular guest. And then I started co-hosting the show with him. And through that, I ended up getting invited by law offices of Andrew Myers. Andrew Myers, he's on YouTube. He's an attorney. He's also a civil attorney. And so then I started co-hosting shows with him. And so in between Evil CJ and Andrew Myers, they told me, I should get a channel. And so that's what I did. I started making videos. And funny and interestingly enough, the first video I did was not on Idaho 4. It was on abused women. And so I did a couple of videos on that, and then I went into Idaho 4. And then missing persons also is an interest of mine. So that's how I ended up getting started with YouTube. And even today, the courts are very slow. I need to have something else, because it's just, if I wasn't married, if I didn't have somebody who was supportive, I would have to get a job like waitressing or something. I mean, I would have to get a job like somewhere.
Yeah,
But,
that's Wendy H is out of California as well as and she said every civil litigator went bankrupt in her town. And
let me tell you, the criminals, I'm in Orange County, California, Southern California. The criminals in Riverside County actually dismissed over 2,800 cases, criminal cases, because there was no courtroom so these trials could go forward. And so these attorneys, criminal defense attorneys, they're like, we're not waiving a speedy trial. And once their trial date came up, they had nowhere to go, so they had to dismiss the charges. And this is all public. I mean, you can look up all kinds of articles that these criminal cases were being dismissed. And so, and now everything is, the budget, I mean, it's so slow. It's not even funny. I mean, sometimes you'll call the court clerks, the general court clerk, and you hear babies in the background, and, they're at home.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I just had to do something else. And still, I mean, I have some pretty big cases, but they move very, very slow.
Zach, how long before I can make fun of the guest? You can't make fun of the guest.
Yes, you can.
Zach is a special. When you get above a certain number of subscribers, you have the ADA rule makes sure that you have one person on every channel. That you have, you get a small government grant, and you let them say stupid stuff in chat. Zach is my ADA approved.
Okay. No,
weirdo.
I have thick skin. I don't care. I mean, if you make fun of me, that's fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Zach is just mostly it's just bad dad jokes. So
it's okay.
But no, I thought you only did recorded videos. I hadn't seen you on the other shows, but
yeah,
so you are a pro. So Zach can get well, not Zach. Chat can get, sometimes it goes one way and sometimes it goes another way. But that Idaho 4 case, I don't follow it, as I told you before we started, and everyone is always talking about it. The only thing I know is something about a K-bar, and I hear snippets here and there. Is there something wrong with the explanation about someone seeing someone in the house and not hearing anything? And there was something weird about the house.
The house has been torn down now. Which that was the main crime scene.
Well,
the house was actually
have you ever heard about a case where you needed to go back and just check something again? No, just tear the crime scene down.
Once the crime happened, the house was donated to the university because it was a sorority house, and once the crime happened, it was donated to the university. Turns out the president of the university had lived in that house at one point. I don't know, very strange. But it was donated to the university, and the university, the regents, there's a board, they decided to tear it down. Okay, this was in the middle of a criminal prosecution where they alleged the crime occurred, and it was possible for a civil lawsuit against the owners of the property because of security reasons. We don't know if the doors wouldn't lock, if they complained to the owner, because there is some discussion about one of the females who was unalived. She had her father come and change the lock on one of the bedrooms, and that's not been confirmed. But in any event, the family, at least one family, filed what's called a government tort claim against the university, and they possibly have a claim against the owner of the home. So in reality, they destroyed evidence in a possible civil case. So that was something. But there was no stopping them. They just did it. They said they were going to do it, and they did it.
Yeah, and that's I don't know enough about the case, but it's kind of like, did you follow the case with the two young women in Indiana, Delphi?
A little bit.
Yeah, I didn't follow it, but one of my normal co-hosts, Mo, was really heavy into it. And there was, again, just so many things where I don't know if they got it right or got it wrong. I didn't follow it, and there was no, you couldn't follow the case really because you had to rely on reports from the courtroom. There was no live feed.
Mm-hmm.
But the phantom drawings didn't look like the person, and then all of a sudden they got a new phantom drawing that looked even less like the person, but he was clearly the person. When you have these big cases and they have all of this attention, they have all of these, let's call them amateur PIs going around checking it, you get so many things where you're thinking, that just doesn't make sense. And something about the DNA in the Koberger case as well, where you're thinking, what's going on? And we are in 2024, and it seems like you're trying to pull a fast one on us. This guy is a weirdo. He must have done it.
Right. And initially, when he was arrested, I thought, wow, that was interesting. But let me just say something. I did a video on this where Bryan Kohberger, he went home for the holidays. So November 12th, 2022, that's when the crime occurred. And then in the middle of December, which is what normal college students do, he was going for his PhD at Washington State University, which is about maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from University of Idaho. And so he had it planned. So his father came and they both drove back to Pennsylvania. And there were no charges against Bryan Kohberger. Nothing. He drove, went home, and apparently the FBI was surveilling him. They would see him jogging around his parents' home. And it's so suspicious because what they did, now they arrested him under a fugitive statute. Okay. When he left Washington, he was not a fugitive. There were no charges pending, nothing. As far as we know, he wasn't even a suspect when he left, or he may have been, but there still was no charges. And did he know he was? I don't think he knew he was a suspect. And they stopped him twice on the way to Pennsylvania. Didn't give him a ticket, but they just stopped him twice.
And again, it's just, and I watched that video where you also mentioned it's funny that the CEO guy from New York also was apprehended in Philadelphia. So it's
you have these two things, and in the Bryan Kohberger case, they what they did is they arrested him under a fugitive warrant, but not only that, they got a no-knock warrant, which means you have to have additional probable cause, and that additional probable cause was the link between the investigative genealogy DNA and the father's DNA from trash. Like, seriously, you couldn't just go and get DNA from, couldn't you just talk to him? I mean,
Yeah.
couldn't you just, like, seriously? So that was the additional probable cause. So they got this no-knock warrant, and they went in the early morning hours, and they literally broke glass, broke down the door. All his family was held at gunpoint, and they arrested him.
Just before Zach goes, thank you, Zach, for the $2. Yolie is lovely and well-spoken.
Oh,
Just
thank you.
trying to get on Santa's good list real quick. Well, flatter will take you so far, but thank you, Zach.
I love to talk about true crime, so
yeah, and
especially about the Koberger case.
Yeah, and again, I know.
Oh, you would be very. I think you would be very interested in it. And if the trial and there's a gag order, so we don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know if Brian K is guilty or not. I don't know.
He's always innocent until proven guilty.
Right. And that's what I say, yeah.
And Iris saying the DNA must get thrown out.
Well, you know, whether or not they followed the procedures is the issue. And there's no legislation governing investigative genealogy in Idaho. There is in Maryland, and maybe, I think, Colorado. I'm not sure. But there is in Maryland. But in Idaho, there isn't. So it's a matter of first impression. So the issue is going to be whether they followed the protocols, because there are protocols, and they're on the website of Idaho State Police, that they show you what they do when they get DNA evidence or when they get evidence, and how they log it in and how it's scanned. It has a barcode, all this stuff. And so there is a procedure. Now, if they were negligent in following that procedure, just like if some cops were negligent and they forgot to give the Miranda rights to somebody, their rights are violated.
And that's funny. I covered the Karen Reed case. There's not one single piece of evidence where they have a chain of custody on it. Nothing.
Oh, I was introduced to that case by Andrew Myers, and I couldn't follow. I didn't follow that case, but when I started learning, oh my goodness, about that case, I thought, why in the hell are they bringing this case? Their expert was just horrible. He was basically a traffic ticket officer, accident traffic police. He'd write reports, you know, police reports. I just don't understand why they brought that case against her. Like, there's not enough, in my opinion. And I saw bits and pieces, but the witnesses, okay, you can't say beyond a reasonable doubt that she backed into him and unalived him when there's bite marks.
But that's what's so infuriating. We're going for round 2 right now, and they have hearings, and you have a biased judge, and she's so biased that they can't even show the photo of the arm, which is put into evidence, because the family shouldn't be subject to see it, or you don't have to have all of these horrible pictures on screen. You clearly have an explanation that doesn't add up. The ADA changed the timeline twice during his closing arguments, and the position of the arm was different than his detective testified that it was in his explanation. I don't know how the jury. I've been doing jury duty for 13 years. I've met people who didn't want to follow the law and say, well, in my personal belief, we shouldn't do that. Well, it's not your personal belief, it's the law. But how you cannot end up with saying there's so much reasonable doubt, it just doesn't make sense. But again, to us, it's easy because we sit, we talk, we discuss, we can be laymen, we can be lawyers, we can be whatever we are. The jury, when you have listened to Lally for 8 weeks talk about what if any snow was on the ground, your mind is blank. You don't know. And he did that lawyer trick that I hate. He gave them so much evidence, and there was one piece of evidence that might show something, but they were looking at this big stack and said, he has all this evidence. We don't know if it's anything, but it must be.
And then there was a guy, one of the witnesses, that threw away his phone after he was told he was to save it.
Two. No, not after. That's the funny thing. Both the house owner and Brian Higgins, who were at the scene that night, chose the day before they got the preservation order to dispose of their phones. One of them drove to an Air Force base and threw it out in the trash in an Air Force base, as you always do with your phone, because you don't do like the rest of us and put it in a drawer and have it if something happens to your new phone. Just the day before they got the preservation order. It's not like someone from the courthouse could call and say, hey, the judge is going to sign an order tomorrow at 12. Maybe get rid of it. And Brandon is saying, I lost cell reception. What's the protocol for demanding we start over from the top and go? Or you can ask about it, why I was held hostage for 3 days. Brandon,
I don't know.
Are you going to come on Friday instead of Jeff and talk about why you were held hostage for 3 days? That'll be a wonderful story. But we're not going to start over because now we're getting into some interesting stuff.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was after he received the letter, but I don't know. I wasn't in on too much, I don't know much, but destroying your phone is, you're destroying evidence. And the whole thing, I'm just looking at the evidence, and I came into that case not knowing anything. When Mr. Andrew Myers, he said, I need to talk about this case. And his regular host was out. I said, I don't know. All I know is that this woman backed up and killed her husband or something. He's like, no. I have no idea about this case. So he said, we'll do a question and answer session. So that's what we did. And what I learned was ridiculous. And then I started watching portions of the trial, which lasted way too long. Way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long for something like that.
As a lawyer, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Would you ever use a month-old, perhaps, argument to prove that she had intent
or motive?
They were in Aruba.
Yes.
They had some 25-year-old girl there. He might have
kissed.
It's in Aruba, it's hot. She might be hot. And he might have strayed. And to be fair, Karen Reed strayed a little bit as well. Nothing major, but she did kiss another man. But can you bring someone in to say, well, she looked at me angry and called me a bitch as proof that that night, into a night where every witness said they were so loving that I got in trouble with my wife for not being so loving to that our relationship isn't so loving, and they are allowed to bring in some that shows to me that the judge was highly biased. It should never have been allowed in as anything.
Yeah, because it shows motive against the woman that she talked badly to.
Yeah, but
what did she tell the woman? She told her
she just said something about get away, and then the next day she said, I'm sorry, and she come to her room. But
yeah, it doesn't show any motive. So you can't use prior bad acts to show that someone acted in conformity with that behavior unless there's a pattern. There wasn't a pattern here.
No, and they made up an entire argument that no one could have known of, because they claimed that they left the bar, and on that, I think it's a 12-minute car ride or a 10-minute car ride, they get so mad at each other that she chooses to kill him. The instant they get to the address, what's more important, impressive is you're in Southern California. You don't get that much snow. But in a snowy condition, she backs her car 60 feet in reverse at 24.3 miles per hour. I'm fairly used to driving in slick conditions. I couldn't do that.
And there's other ways of unaliving someone. That's not the best way, because you don't know if he's going to be unalived if you back into him.
No, at least hit him a couple of times.
Yeah. I was very, very disturbed by the Karen Reed case, and I knew nothing about it, and I learned, and I watched, and I thought, oh my God, they hate this woman. I mean, there's hatred toward her.
Yeah.
You know, whether you like her or not, I mean, I remember seeing her coming into court with really short skirts, and then that was stopped. And she's an attractive lady. I mean, you know,
And she's
whether
an accomplished lady as well. She's
very,
an adjunct professor and works in finance, and she's everything all these women are not. And I think it's the new girl syndrome. You know how it is when
oh,
that new chick transferred in high school, and all the football players started saying,
yeah,
all the girls that went the sophomore year were, oh, she's such a, oh, I don't like her. She's clearly done something. It's that simple. It's we kind of called it the Mean Girls of
yeah,
Canton, because it's just like that movie. Um, they clearly had that click where they were the hot stuff, and then a new girl comes in and get attention, and they couldn't handle it.
yeah.
It's it's
And
so
you
ugh.
know, I mean, did I have some criticisms about Karen Reed and how her facial reactions? Maybe, but it has nothing to do with it. It's like irrelevant.
And again, facial reactions. It's what I always say when people come into my chat and say, "Oh, her body language shows that because she did this twice." You don't know if she's highly stressed, what her baseline is. Those people who have a channel talking about body language are the biggest grifters, because they can't prove any of it. It'll be like a psychologist sit there and say, "Well, she clearly shows narcissistic traits, and you can clearly see that because." They would be fired or lose their license, because you can't diagnose someone
No,
without treating them. And that's the same with the, I hate everyone is, you're always crying too much, too little. You're always too stoic or not stoic enough. It's the same. It's always the wrong caliber of bullet you use to defend yourself. It's the wrong amount of bullets. It's everyone just sits here and say stuff like that. And we don't know, maybe she, because she has a bowel illness, maybe that day it was really bad and she was having the lemon face because it hurt her. It's
nice to meet you, watcher of trials. I saw it. Okay. But you know what? It's true, because when I got diagnosed with really dry eyes, and I would like blink a lot, okay? Because that's what the doctor tells me to do when I have dry eyes. You blink, blink, blink. Well, okay, I blink, and people say, oh, that's a sign of lying.
yeah,
Well, it could also be
excessive
a
blinking.
sign
Yeah,
of dry eyes. So I started telling people, look, I blink because I have dry eyes. In the winter, it gets worse. So I have to explain that, because, you know, it's true. Body language is useful, but until it's not, that's what I'll say.
yeah, and you'll have to have. Of course, everyone has that. What is it? 3 second rule. Will we decide if we like you or not in 3 seconds, and then we'll have to try and unbias ourselves. Because again, you could sit there with a big face tattoo saying all cops are something, and still be a good guy. You're not automatically guilty just because you have the wrong tattoos or stuff like that. And just because you don't cry or you don't show the emotion people expect, that's your bias at what you should see in a courtroom. And I think some channels you can see it a lot, especially law and crime, and their chats is always. I hate it when they, oh, the defense lawyer should just sit down. She's clearly guilty. You don't know that, and everyone has a right for a defense.
Yes, and you know, you have to look at evidence. Yes, you can, a juror can assess the credibility of a witness, right? But along with that is evidence that is like scientifically based. And I don't know, in menopause and pot. Oh my God, that is so cute. Yeah. Well, anyway, the evidence is what it is, and the judge is supposed to be a gatekeeper as to what evidence comes in, and there has to be standards for that evidence, right? So in the Idaho 4 case, they have this white Elantra, but no license plate, no videotape of it, no actual picture of it. No, they don't have any video of him going into the the 122 King Road house. They have nothing. It's just this white car that's circulating around, and they follow it. And at times it has a sunroof, and at times it doesn't. And they show it's bizarre. Oh my God, you would really like the Idaho 4 case. It's not that complicated, but because there's a gag order, I mean, I've never heard of such a thing where most of the hearings are gagged. It's like, okay, either there's some top secret government thing going on that they can't disclose this because it will ruin another investigation.
Yeah.
And there are informants, or they're hiding some wrongdoing. I don't know.
Yeah, because on the base of it, what they say, he did they allege sexual assault, or should that be why he did it, or was it just to unalive them?
Well, they say okay, so in the United States, well, in California, you don't have to prove motive for the unaliving, but
no, but what's the? They always have a story why he kind of did it. I know they don't have to prove it in court, but what's the rumor that they believe why he went to the house? Was it just to unalive, or was it to sexual assault someone?
Well, it was to unalive because the theory is that this person, Brian Koberger, who lived not near there, because this house was like in a fishbowl. It was like surrounded by other homes that could be looking at these girls partying, literally looking down, looking at them. Even the president of the university had a home up on a hill that could look into that house. I mean, you get binoculars, but the point is that they believe, the theory is that he's an incel. And I don't know if you know about this guy, Elliot Rogers, who they claimed he was an incel, and he basically started shooting people in Santa Barbara because he couldn't get women. So they say...
You're allowed to do that? I've been single for a while. Maybe...
Well, maybe in your country, but not here.
Well, I can't get any pew-pews, so I can't do it.
Oh, good. So yeah, they say it's an incel, that he was an incel, and that he was studying criminology and getting a PhD because he wanted to commit the perfect crime. And you know what? This guy had a history, okay? He had a history of overcoming problems, Brian Koberger did. He had visual snow, which is an eye condition, neurological condition that causes problems with your vision. And then he was also a H addict at one point. And he was also overweight at one point. But he overcame that, went to school. He studied with the likes of Ramslim, Dr. Ramslim. She was one of the people who was very knowledgeable about the BTK unaliver. And he was recommended by his professor to go to Washington State University under their criminology program to get a PhD. So he had a bachelor's degree in psychology, master's in criminology, and then he was going to get his PhD at Washington State University. He was recommended, highly recommended. So they say he was an incel. They say that, I mean, basically, that's basically it. They don't really have any connection to him. They say that there's some social media sites connected.
Yep. But it's also that it's so easy. We see it with that girl who did terrible thing yesterday. We'll just all of a sudden, well, everyone knew they were this and that, and there was clear signs everywhere. Why didn't, if he was so bad and he studied psychology, professors who teach that, I think, knows a little bit about psychology. People with criminology would probably suss some of it out, but all of a sudden he was just the worst person in the world. Whenever I hear that, I get a little, what? How did he hide it all when he apparently was so open about it right after everyone knew he was clearly guilty? Just want to answer this. Big Dog, we all thought Sarah Boone was guilty or wacky before a trial started. So where do we draw the line on opinion versus innocent till guilty? I will always start a case saying the state have to prove she's guilty. I will do the right thing and say, even though Sarah Boone clearly, in my opinion, was guilty,
right,
the state still have to prove it. And I have sat down. The worst case I ever covered was the Harmony Montgomery trial, a 5-year-old girl who allegedly was punched multiple times in the face by her dad and passed away from it. I still don't believe they proved he did it. I think she OD'd in the car, and her stepmom was also guilty. But the stepmom sang, got 3.5 years out of 14 years in prison because she sang, and he got life. I'll have my opinion. I don't know anything about Bryan Kohberger, but even if he was the most guilty person in the world, they had him with the K-bar in the hand and a newspaper next to the body saying, I did it. The state would still have to prove it. That's the standard that we have to start every case with. Of course, I'm biased. Of course, I have my opinion, but the state will still have to prove it.
Yeah, and being innocent until proven guilty also, it involves what your plea is going to be, because if your plea is insanity, innocent by reason of insanity, or innocent by reason of diminished capacity, which you're really not innocent. Your BIL is, oh, Costa Mesa, I'm right near there. No. Yeah, so you have to take into account people who are mentally ill who do things. And while it's a high burden to plead insanity, for example, in New York, where this Luigi, the person who allegedly was arrested and for shooting the CEO, it's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It is by the preponderance of the evidence that he is insane. But insane means you don't know what's right and wrong. In other words, like a psychosis, you don't know what's right and wrong, and it has to be proven. So, it's one of these things where people can have an opinion where they think somebody's guilty.
Yeah.
And it's an opinion. But to say somebody is guilty.
I actually, just as you say here, the first day where everyone was out saying, oh, they got him, they got the guy, he was the one who did it. And again, we saw two pictures of the same guy that looked nothing like each other. And some random woman in McDonald's recognized this part of his face and called the cops, his mom. All of this, again, it's very convenient.
Well,
it's just, he has $12,000 on his person.
Well, look at Bryan Kohberger. He had a mask and bushy eyebrows. That's the description from...
Yeah.
That's the description, okay? Mask and bushy eyebrows, athletically built. Well, Luigi is reasonable doubt. And I did also a video on Dane Elkins, who is missing from Southern California, who resembles Luigi. I mean, he completely resembles Luigi. And he went missing. And his mother believes he had a psychotic break. And he was the video that he did before he was seen. The last video he did was saying that the CIA will do things to you. They will, if you don't do what they say, they will unalive you. They gave me a passport. And in the video, he turns around like he's looking at the passport. And he says certain things. And it's, of course, people who have mental illness, and I know that because I was a mental health worker before. I took care of very mentally ill people. And they have delusions, about the CIA, about people following them. And so, those people are vulnerable. But when you talk about this vague description, that's the vague description in the Kohberger case. And the Luigi case, you could look at the pictures and I don't know if it's the same person. I mean, there's some questionable things. I mean, I can't, I mean, I have dry eyes. I can't see to begin with, but I mean, there's, he has a familiar face.
Yeah, but he has that standard Italian Greek
Yeah.
face.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I go to Italy or Greece, you see a lot of people who look right because again, you're seeing this part of his face. It's very bushy eyebrows and some eyes. That's really hard to, unless they have like scars or cuts in their eyebrows. It can be anything. It's
And the growth rate of the brows, like people are talking about how, like, could he have this unibrow? I mean, they're calling him the unibrow unaliver instead of the unibomber unaliver. But the the growth rate, because some people are saying that his eyebrows were way too bushy to be the same person in the photos. Now, I can't tell that detail. I haven't looked. I mean, I suppose if I get my magnifying glasses or my reading glasses and I really look, I mean, I haven't really.
it has to do with shadows and
Yeah,
angles, and
yeah.
yeah, it'll be hard to tell if you don't have it. But it's again, it's one of those where you're thinking everyone knows he did it. No problem. Everyone, oh, he's clearly guilty, and let's just move on.
He could be
Just see,
insane.
it's yeah, it's just weird that I maybe I've been covering trials for too long, so I'm always sitting here saying, did the state get it right? Question: can you blame if you did something while you were sleepwalking?
Well, it depends on what state you're in and what law applies. There might be a diminished capacity defense. If you're able to prove that you were sleepwalking, that you had a history of sleepwalking, I don't think it gets you a free pass, but I think there might be an issue of diminished capacity where you didn't know what you were doing. You didn't know right from wrong. Or there could be a total insanity plea if you didn't know right from wrong because you were sleepwalking. But that's up to the jury to decide. And it's up to the plea that the defendant gives. So if the defendant is just saying not guilty, period, and then he tries to claim he was sleepwalking, well, that's not going to fly. But, you know, in the beginning, if you say you were sleepwalking, you tell the truth, you have medical, you have some history of sleepwalking and doing strange things in your sleep, or taking Ambien or some other drug that makes you do weird things, well, then that history is taken into account and you might be able to get a reduced sentence under diminished capacity or insanity, depending on what state you're in. But it's kind of like you didn't know what you were doing when you did it.
Yeah,
But
it's not a willful intoxication. It's you didn't have any control when it happened.
right.
So it's more like an insanity plea where you said, yes, I clearly was the one with the knife in the hand, but I don't know.
I had to be the one with the knife in the hand, but I don't remember. And he has a history of doing things that he doesn't remember. That helps, right?
Yeah. Brandon, we're a little bit all over the place. We're at Coburger, we're in New York, we are in Karen Reed, we are in Sleepwalking right now. No, that's where these shows should go. Everywhere where we want to go. And remember, everyone in chat, if you have a question, put the red question mark in. It's easier for me to see if you have a really good question that we need. No, but and it's the same. We talked a little bit about Felazio, who all of a sudden claimed self-defense after he 1 minute and 12 seconds into the police interview admitted he did it.
And so
and again, we have to say she was nagging. So,
well, when you had claimed self-defense, you have to testify. So that's why they put him on the stand. Because at first I was like, what the hell? Why would they ever put this man on the stand? Why would his attorney allow it? Well, if you're claiming self-defense, then you should, you know. Oh, the thing that gets me is transfer DNA. Yeah, the touch DNA. And so they in the Koberger case, they claimed that there was some touch DNA cells or transfer DNA or trace DNA on the button of a knife sheath. So everybody has to remember that the sheath is not the murder weapon in the Koberger case. I'm switching because somebody asked.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You just you'll run
yeah,
with you run with it.
so the sheath, everybody makes a big deal about the sheath. Oh my God, they found DNA on the sheath. Well, I want to find out, did the sheath ever kill anybody? Does the sheath have the ability to kill anybody? No.
Yeah.
Is the sheath a movable object? Yes. Okay. So if it's not the murder weapon and it's an movable object, then how can you possibly link that to be Brian Koberger beyond a reasonable doubt? There has to be some doubt.
Thank you, Wendy H, for the 5 corner kisses over on Buy Me a Coffee. Corner kisses is from can't remember the Letitia Stout. No, it was a Cara Rentala case where a lesbian woman had a boyfriend who was only allowed to kiss her on the corner of the mouth, but he got to kiss her on the lips if he bought her a new iPhone. So, no, iPad. It was a wonderful case as well. And Big Dog on the way out is gifting 5 gifted membership to Sinead.
Oh, I love that dog.
Cinnamon Bear, D the Dog H, June, Sidlauskas maybe, and Tommy Bernhardt. Yeah, it's a cute little dog. That's a lot of people have dogs in their profile pics. It's always so nice to see.
But my dog passed away recently, so.
It's.
I don't.
That's the wrong time of year. All of these deaths are coming in, but again, Christmas is the worst time for that. Because I used to play in a marching band, and we went around to retirement homes on Christmas Eve. In Denmark, we have Christmas on the 24th. I think Mexicans does that as well. But so we went out and played at all the retirement homes, and we had a lady who always called us the death band or the music of death, because whenever we came the next day, everyone just started passing away from old age, because the family had been there for Christmas. They didn't want to stick around for a full year for another Christmas, so they checked out. So she said, "Oh, you're here to play them out." We're here to entertain you and play some Christmas music. But
well, thank you.
Always saw us.
Thank you, everybody who's saying I'm sorry. That's okay.
Yeah, it's and it is also Skippy, his dog, who passed the 10th. That's so sorry.
Yeah, well, they're with us. They're just not.
Brandon has a dog for sale.
I can't handle a dog.
Apparently it'll eat everything and crap all over the place and cost you a lot of money. He'll give you $500 if you take the dog.
Well, it's tempting.
I think I think he's a little tired of it. It's been a nuisance the last couple. We have had a lot of dog accidents. Brandon has, and my mom Marissa had a dog that ate something as well. It's a whole thing. Don't.
It's okay.
It's so funny being a live streamer, because you're sitting here and then there's just something that in 1 month everyone had a grandbaby, and the next month everyone had a new dog. Then the next month everyone is mad at the new dog, and it's
yeah. Well, it's okay. But I work at home and it's kind of difficult. But that's what COVID did. It made me work at home. So.
And Yano says, my Danish side always celebrated on Christmas Eve, then the rest would celebrate on the 25th. We celebrate the 25th as well, but we do a Christmas dinner where you go, Christmas you have with your near family, and the 25th you'll go to your extended family and have a big dinner. So most families will do, if you're doing the dad side at the 24th, you'll do the mom side on the 25th or stuff like that. So you kind of spread it out.
Yeah, so the Mexicans or Hispanics, because I am part Mexican, my husband's Mexican, they do celebrate on the 24th. So it's okay. I don't really like Christmas, really, but it's okay. I like Halloween. That's my favorite holiday.
And we don't have that.
Oh,
Well, it's becoming a thing now where people are putting up decorations, but we're not. We haven't been Catholic since the Reformation, and so we don't have those traditions. We have it at we call it fastelavn. That's at around. It's when you start feasting, not feasting. What is it called?
fasting.
Fasting. Yeah, you start fasting. It's to
That was a Freudian slip.
it's just English no speaky good, but we have where you dress up for that, and you eat some special buns, and you hit back in the day you used to hit a barrel with a cat in it to ward off Satan. You can't do that today. Peter would get after you, but that's our tradition. Was every year all the kids in kindergarten, that stuff like that, they have a barrel kind of like a piñata, but just a wooden barrel they'll hit with a stick until the candy drops out. So we do that at I believe it's in February. That's fun.
Yeah, sounds fun.
It's a Catholic thing, the 24th. No, it's because Jesus was born on Christmas Eve. He wasn't born the day after his birthday. It's just all the English speaker that got it wrong.
Yeah, but it is a Hispanic thing. I mean, a lot of people do that, and we did that when we were much younger. But now it's like we're in bed, asleep at like 10, 11. There's no going to church like at midnight and doing all that.
That was our tradition when I grew up. And again, in Denmark, almost everyone is part of the the Danish People's Church. We pay taxes to it, so you get to be a member. And my mom and dad always had, because my mom worked at the hospital and my dad was an EMT firefighter. In Denmark, it's all the same. So they almost always, one of them worked on Christmas. So their tradition was, because then you got off at 11 o'clock, so they would watch the midnight mass from Rome. So that was kind of our tradition. That's when Christmas ended, when the midnight mass came on from Rome. And again, we're not Catholic, but we watched it every year. So it's one of those traditions you don't know why.
I don't know why, but I mean, people have their beliefs, and we're just all going to respect everybody's beliefs, and that's it.
Beliefs and tradition. That's I just had a grandbaby, and my daughter said, "Well, you're celebrating Christmas with us this year," and I was like, "Are you sure?" "Yeah, it's going to be wonderful." He's a 2-month-old, and I said,
"Oh my God,
who's gonna have you?" Her mom is a chef, so I said, "Have you talked to your mom about?" Yeah, she will come and help with the food and stuff, because I could just imagine a 2-month-old is gonna really enjoy mama going around decorating the house and not having time to feed him all the time. It's gonna be wonderful. So yeah.
Yeah, I can't sell this.
I thought Jesus was born in September. No, Christmas Eve. We go to candlelight service. It's gorgeous. We normally in Denmark you have church before dinner, and because in Denmark you go to church 3 times: when you're baptized, when you're married, and when you're dead, and then every year for Christmas. That's we pay taxes. We don't have to go, because when we pay taxes, he must let us in. I think that's our belief. But because so many people come at the 24th, because everyone goes home to their hometown. It's normal in Denmark, when you get out of high school, you'll go to the bigger cities and study and get a job and stuff like that. But everyone returns home, so everyone goes to church, so they can say hi to all the old neighbors and stuff like that. So I think they have like 2 or 3 services at my local church on the 24th. And funny enough, the 25th is the biggest party day in the year, because everyone goes out to party with their old school friends. So it's just weird traditions in Denmark.
Yeah. So in when I was younger, when I was born or whenever. So you get baptism, you get first communion, and then you get confirmation. So I did first communion, but I never made it to confirmation. I did go to the catechism for 2 years, but at the end of the day, they said, I'm sorry, ma'am. They told my mother she's not ready to accept Christ, whatever that means. So it was because I questioned everything and they didn't like that. And, you know, it's one of these things where it's kind of like a rejection. Like, what the hell did I do? Like, I came every day for 2 years, like every Saturday or whatever it was for 2 years, and you're telling me no. But that's what happened. And so I did not get married in the Catholic Church. I got married in Vegas. And the funny thing is that my husband's parents, they're very Catholic. Most of their children got married in the Catholic Church. But guess what? Marriages in the Catholic Church and all this shenanigans cost money. So when they had just gone, and okay, so here's the interesting thing about me is I'm an only child, but my husband is one of 10 siblings. He's in the middle. Right. We don't have children. But when we did get married, we did it in Vegas. And guess what? His parents were like, yes. I mean, you have these, because it was so cheap. They didn't have to, they didn't have to pay for anything. We just went over there. We bought their hotel room and we got married in Vegas. It was like no big deal.
Yeah. And again, I can tell you from experience, even having the feast on an old royal castle and picking the nicest church, it doesn't make the marriage better. Mine lasted less than a year and a half, so it doesn't matter what how much lipstick you put on the pig if it doesn't work. Even paying money for it. Oh, buttface! I am on Fyn, the big island just north of Ærø. It's just Danish names for islands.
Yeah. Well, so, you know, I'm sorry that your marriage lasted only a year and a half.
Oh, I am very happily divorced.
Oh, okay.
Very happily divorced. Okay. I got my 2 kids. I love them to death, and I didn't need more time to get those, so that's fine.
Oh, that's
We're going to spend Christmas together this year for the first time in 21 years. So I can only imagine me, her latest boyfriend, who she also split up with, and her. It's gonna be magic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the baby and just walk around the house with him and make him sleep. That's probably the best thing.
Yeah. So I have a lot of nieces and nephews, as you can imagine.
Yeah. With 9 other people to I was the first one. I got my first kid at 24 years old, and none of my siblings. I had 3 siblings, and my oldest never had any, and my second, the middle brother I have had his first at 38, and the last at 45. So it's right now we have a lot of in-betweeners. So it's a little weird. I have a grandson who is 8 years younger than his niece, than my niece. So
yeah,
it's yeah.
Yep.
It's so weird, but that's just family life and stuff like that. Brandon is saying, this pet naming, I messed up. I went from Cobra to Kobe the beef, and then someone had to be selfish and push down on that holiday.
Flight controls. Oh my goodness.
Brandon always boosting the mood. Thank you, Brandon.
Well, you know, here in the United States, we're talking about the drone invasion, or drones are all over the place. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah, New Jersey.
Well, I've seen them here too.
Oh, you've seen them there too. But Brandon is in New Jersey. He was going out trying to skeet shoot some of them over the weekend. I don't think he got any.
I don't know. I really don't know what to think of it. I've took some video and pictures, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they are. I mean, maybe, I mean, people are not used to looking up the sky. They're looking down at their phone all the time. So I have no idea if it's a shooting star or what it is, but it's really it's strange. But I feel like we're in a Naked Gun movie where the government says, well, we don't know what they are, and you're not seeing drones, and people are saying, yes, we are.
It's like the Chinese balloons. Oh, we can't shoot them
Yeah.
down because we don't know what comes down.
Okay, but
That's not the way to protect the country.
no.
Let's just, they're flying over a part of the US where there's nothing. Let's shoot it down right now. If we're going to lose a cornfield in Ohio, let's
Yeah.
sacrifice that to find out what this is.
Yeah, but they also have guidelines for when one crashes. You have to use PPE, like protective equipment and stuff like that.
Yeah, the hazmats.
Yeah. Well, who has that? I mean, no, I mean, I mean, come on. It's silly because it's like people are actually seeing this, and these are not planets in the sky, because I've seen it myself. I took a picture. It's like these orbs that just fly quickly. And I was going to do a video on that, and I probably will, because, and then there's green things up in the air, not a lot, but people in Huntington Beach, which is very close to Costa Mesa, and in Orange County, they've seen these things, and they're not normal. And I will say that I don't know if they're normal because I don't look up at the sky, but they look strange. I mean, the speed at which they go. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and again, is there anything interesting near where you live, military or anything like that, infrastructure? Yeah. It's that's the thing I wonder, because New Jersey, I think they have a lot of military installments up there and stuff like that, but I don't know. And yeah. Krista, brand new subscriber, you have been on replay. How do I become a member? If you are on iOS, you need to open a tab somewhere. Oh, Iris already shared it because she knows how to do it. I don't know anything. So you have to go through. Oh, you figured it out. Thank you so much, Krista's limited edition.
Yeah.
It's,
so yeah, so that's the interesting thing. And I wonder about the mentally ill, because I was a mental health worker. And I wonder about like the mentally ill in New Jersey, where there's the bulk of it, and what they think. I mean, they're already paranoid. Some of them have paranoid schizophrenia, and they're out on the street. And I wonder what they think when they see these things, you know, like, is this causing a crisis for them, more of a crisis than they're already in, you know? I wonder.
Yeah, and just why isn't I remember pretty well what happened in 2001.
Yeah.
Nothing got in the air for a long time without everyone had been checked, double checked, and had the internal checks as well. And now, isn't New Jersey, it's a pretty close to New York and places like that, and they're just, nah, it'll be fine. It's probably something we don't, I don't know. Now I hear something, well, someone dropped a nuke or something, and
or some nuclear bombs were missing, and maybe that's what they're looking for.
But they don't go missing.
No, well, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen those Naked Gun movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's what we're in, where it's like, there's nothing to see here. You're not seeing drones. Come on.
Yeah. Don't trust your lying eyes.
They're planets. That's Venus. That's something else. But what I saw, I know what I saw. And I saw, it could have been a shooting star. I'll give you that. But it was a orb that just, like, light speed. I mean, and then I saw this green thing, and I'll probably do a video on it. I think I should, because it's really unsettling to see that. And my mind goes to the mentally ill. I'm sorry. You know, if the mentally ill watch TV, even the mentally ill who are in group homes, or the medication doesn't always get to them, because I had an uncle who was mentally ill, schizophrenic. If they're watching the news, I mean, come on, this is going to freak them out. tell the people what it is.
Thank you again, Wendy. I spy with my eye.
Oh,
Yeah, and again, that's the problem, because as long as you feel like someone is covering something up, people will talk even more. And that's why I don't get why isn't the news crew out there with a camera? CNN has 24 hours a day they have to fill. Get a camera out there to try and catch them. And that's the thing. We have it a lot right here in Europe right now, because we're always 5 years behind America with everything. So all of that fake news and all of that stuff that you went through during the first election of 45, we're having right now, where the media is just spinning so hard that everyone is sitting here saying, "Ah, come on now." Everyone can see this is just other BS. And back in the day, news media were news. Today they are just media. It has nothing to do with we have this story, let's tell this story. It's all about, you should believe this, you should believe that, and that's not their job. It should be to inform the public of what is happening right now. And I really don't understand. This is a scoop. You have some either drones or something buzzing around.
There's drones and there's orbs. That's what I've seen. So, I mean, I don't know, but and okay. So sometimes I say, the police, if you don't know, say you don't know. The government, if you don't know, say you don't know. So I kind of respect the fact that they say they don't know, but at the same time, this is something that is in our airspace that you don't know. Like, maybe you should know. If you don't know, then you better find out. And maybe they're in the process of finding out. And Chase Hughes, he's often on the behavioral panel, but he has his own channel, and he did describe it. And I don't know if that's what's happening, but it sounds strange. But here's a strange thing. This is before the inauguration of a president, and we have these things happening. And so we're talking about closing our borders to other countries. Well, what about the airspace? Like, what rights do we have? Like, if something is, because literally something was flying in my backyard, and it literally, my phone was like, I felt strange. My phone was like, and I will do a video about it, because I'm not crazy. I mean, I think logically. I see what I see. Perhaps it's nothing, but when you have all these other people talking about it, I mean, come on.
Yeah, and again, I saw a guy got arrested because he downed a Amazon drone over his property. Why are they allowed? Because I can't put up. I don't know how the rules are in the US. In Denmark, I'll have to apply for a license to fly it, because I can accidentally shoot pictures of you in your garden, or because yes, some creeps have more than once put up a drone to try and get some naked ladies in the backyard tanning or something like that. So you can't just unlimited fly your drone. But why can't I say, because if you drove a remote control car onto my land, I could do whatever I wanted because it's on my land. Why are you allowed to fly anything over my house? It's an interesting question. Where do my property rights end?
How far up? How far? Like, how do you know? And that's an interesting thing, because I don't know that we discussed like air rights in law school. I know we discussed property rights and what's your property and easements and all of that, but I don't remember discussing, what's in the air, what's above you. And I guess that was because that was when I went to law school. That was before drones were even existing. But seriously, I mean, again, I feel bad for people who have some kind of paranoia that is not their fault, and they get more paranoid or they get crazy because of these drones. And I know what I see, and I'm not afraid, but I'm questioning it, like, what's going on?
Yeah, but you have, isn't that the thing in New York? It's not it's not the land rights that's worth anything. It's the air rights. How tall can you build the next skyscraper?
Yeah,
Because
same thing in California. Like
yeah,
you know, people who have these mansions in the Hollywood Hills, like somebody builds something that obstructs their view, it's an issue because they want the view, right? But yes, I okay, so I'm trying to think if I learned anything about that in law school, because
well, that's zoning regulation, that you have some zoning
zoning,
on,
yes,
you
it's
can
local
build.
ordinance. Mhm.
Yeah, so because that's why they always try to do that trick where if they run down something, because okay, this zone they can build higher
It
than,
is a zoning thing, I remember. Mhm.
so, but it's, I don't know, but I don't know, but this has gone way faster than I thought. We've been going an hour and 15 minutes yet, so I normally always give you the floor, or the guest the floor in the end, so they can grift themselves a little bit and talk about their channel or whatever they want to tell everyone about on the way out before we end.
Well, I just want to say that I'm a civil attorney, not criminal. I have thoughts. Some people find my thoughts interesting. Some people think that I hesitate when I talk. I probably do. But this is an avenue where I can let out my thoughts, because a lot of what I'm interested in, a lot of people are not. And so I just crave the community. And I have certain creators that I chat in. And so this will be one of the creators where I feel comfortable chatting, because I don't feel comfortable chatting in most creators' lives. There's only two: Evil CJ, Silky Southern. Even creators' channels that I've been on panel, I don't really chat. So there's really only two, maybe three: Truth and Transparency, maybe a little bit. But for the most part, I don't really chat. So this will be one channel that I will chat. So you'll see me in chat every now and then. So I'll say hi. Anyway, that's it. You're on mute.
I am a boomer. Well, it's so I don't, when I click around in the background, it's not annoying to you. I'm so considerate, and then I'm stupid. No, thank you so much for trusting me to jump on. You didn't know me, I didn't know you, and it's wonderful to meet new people doing this. And I hope a few of you have gone over and subscribed. The link is in the chat, top of the chat. Mostly videos so far, and
maybe I'll do live. You can invite me for a live on a trial sometime.
yeah, I can. Well, I
to.
saw someone say you should cover the Coburg together. I'm not going to cover the Idaho Fall because it's. I feel it's a little late to get on the bike and ride that one.
I understand that you
So
feel that way, but it's really not late. There are people who have just caught on and they're like, "What?" There's various aspects to this Koberger case, and you could just hang on one aspect and do a whole live or follow this one aspect of it. You know?
Yeah, but that's the problem, because I do this. I'm doing a week of this trial, then I'm going to do a week of this. So I don't do those big deep dives, and so I'm always glad when I can meet new friends and invite them on. I didn't know anything about the Delphi. Then I invited Mo and AJ on. They talked about it for me. So to me, so I learned this and learned that. I like. That's about also what growing the community is about. Is giving you tools to say, oh, I really want to deep dive in this. I've been on other channels talking about the Karen Reed case because I have a little more knowledge on that one.
I'm into
so I like this community building. There's so much negativity on YouTube.
But I would love to do like some trial watching with you. I don't live stream yet. I don't know that I don't know, but I would like to, because I mean, that case with the guy, Joseph, whatever his name is, that eventually he shot her and then cut her up.
Started out by shooting her.
Started off by shooting her. That I never heard of that case. And when I started listening to you and I watched it, the trial, I was like, what the heck? Like, that's right up my alley. Like, this is what I'm like. I don't know. I'm interested in true crime. So,
well, we never actually got an explanation for the 18 stabs.
no.
If it's just a part of the dismantling that went wrong, because I thought, kids, close your ears. If you want to put them in water, it's really good idea to aerate them a little bit, because there's a little bit of a gas buildup. Brandon told me that. I don't know what he talks about. I, of course, have no knowledge of any of these things. So I thought maybe it was because he thought, I'm just going to dump her in the water. Vermont has some water, I believe. So he was probably thinking, I'm just dumping her in a lake and I need some holes in her so her stomach doesn't blow up. And then he thought, no, and again, it's in an RV. Well, it's like a school bus, short bus constructed. And he was sitting in that little bathing stall in there. There couldn't have been enough room she must, such a weird case, but
Strange.
yeah. Hold
And
on.
The fact that he took the stand because it was self-defense is just, I don't know.
Well, we always say that when people come in, do you think they're going to take the stand? They need, in self-defense, I think they need to.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, they have to.
We watched.
Yeah. Like Jodi Arias. I don't know if you ever heard about that case.
Yeah, my buddy Dave and Nick, they redid all of the Jodi Arias. They watched it all 46 weeks or however long it took them.
That is
twice a week they did it. And I have an original Jodi Arias painting.
Oh,
one of my early viewers sent me. So I have my grapes over there. Is a painting by Jodi Arias.
Wow, that's a nice painting.
Sorry, I didn't have my ears in.
That's a nice painting.
She's actually quite talented.
Yeah.
And
oh, interesting.
Yeah, one of my you can buy them online. One of my viewers sent it to me last year. Brandon said, "You don't live stream? We shall have to remedy that. You're a lawyer. You just got to jump in."
I will. What I want to do is co-stream maybe, because I know there's this little link that says stream this to your audience, and I thought about clicking it, but I don't know what that will do.
That'll just open up. If you hit it right now, it'll open up a stream on your end. You can try it. It's no problem.
Now I'll try it at some time. That's what I want to do.
There's no time like the present, because stream. It's just I can tell you if you have to do something, but if you just hit it, it'll just go. It will ask you if you want to go live, or it will go live.
Yeah, but I probably should have done that in the beginning.
So it's so easy through StreamYard if you use that program.
Yeah.
Remember that one you did about unaliving mentally handicapped people?
What?
Did she? Did who? I wasn't live. My bad. It wasn't live. Just go on with Baker or someone.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie going to beat us really hard that week, but everyone will. Brandon, I don't. Yes. Brandon, thank you. I don't know what.
Yeah, but I would like to go on a stream on a trial with you at some point.
Well, let's see what comes up. Why do you listen to Brandon? Brandon is actually quite intelligent. He just hides it well. You streamed that for like 3-4 days. Are you talking about the Vicene case with the woman who unalived? She wasn't mentally ill. She was just very sick. Mentally ill people. I can't remember doing that one.
I remember that. Well, they said they were mentally. There were unaliving mentally challenged people. No.
Can't remember which case. Um, the kids.
Hmm.
I can't remember what trial that is.
Oh no.
The
That
only
was
kid haven't I only done Harmony Montgomery? It was a few weeks ago. They all had a shared school. I stream too much. I can't remember what I stream about. But it looks like Janine knows it too. So
interesting.
I must have done it, but I've just forgotten about it.
It was a few weeks ago.
We had to stop because it was absolutely
Oh,
terrible.
maybe that's why you're blocking it out.
Oh, he's talking about the whole trial of Short Bus Rider. They were like 19, 20 years old. And yeah, I
There's a
probably
reason. You're probably
forgot what
blocking it out.
I've forgotten what it was, but yeah, it's probably horrible. But some McKinley, Melody, they were young adults. Are you talking about all the drug addicts? I covered a trial where Brandon. In Mississippi. The only case I've had in Mississippi was the Cardi Gregg case. And she wasn't mentally ill. She was mentally ill. Did you see that case about the 14-year-old who put 5 rounds into her mom?
I heard about it.
Yeah. Horrible surveillance camera. She goes into her mom is checking her room allegedly to look for vapes or something, weed vapes. And then she comes in, she's out in the garden playing with a dog. She had been disciplined in school. Comes in, sees her mom in her room, goes back into her mom's room, goes back and hides what she has on her back, checks the kitchen, goes in, and you just hear, no, 2 holes. You hear, pew, and the mom screaming, pew. And then she comes back, hides the gun again. It was so deliberate. And she was 14 at the time. Really,
I
really bad.
vaguely
It's
recall that.
don't watch that. Wasn't
Okay.
you're drunk? How are you forgetting this? I'm sorry, Brandon. I'll do better. I'll ask Marissa and Jamie what they forced me to watch.
Well, there's
McKinley Louis Marr. Oh, McKinley Louis Marr. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, everyone was a little challenged in that one. Thank you so much. Now I understand, Brandon. It was a well, she might have been pregnant. Everyone was a little slow. I don't know if they had diagnosis or anything. And they picked up a girl. One of them had been dating a little bit on and off. I think she had the mental capacity of, she was 22 and had a mental capacity of a 16-year-old or 13-year-old. And they raped her and unalived her, dumped her in a park. He was found with her, I think her phone. No, the phone they dropped at the away on the way to the dump site. But he had gloves with her DNA. They had them picking up from the murder aisle in the Walmart. They picked up all the stuff they needed. It was the machetes. They couldn't say machetes. So well, give us a feel-good story on the way out. This is not going to be a feel-good story. I've known Brandon for long enough. But yeah, it was such a weird trial, and everyone had to testify. And when people who are a little challenged, who doesn't get it, and one of them, he was the most polite and the most wonderful person, but he hated his stepdad. That was so weird. Well, everyone, thank you so much for being here, being nice. I've taken a half an hour more than I said I would. I was in Penn Station and I saw someone screaming at an isolated cop, so I started to step in, but then 5 other people started yelling at the cop, so I did what any reasonable person would do. Run. So I can get out of here, so she can get out of and get to... well, she's probably not going good to bed. She's going to have some dinner. Type faster. Type faster. I found the next angriest groups of cops and told them what was going on, like a kid on Christmas. Nightstick was halfway out before they got up. Of course. Well, cops needs fun too. Everyone, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for taking a chance and saying yes to this weird Danish guy.
It's fine.
Everyone,
yeah.
Get over to her channel and give her a like on the way out, because that will encourage her to do that live Brandon is asking for.
Yeah, I'll do it eventually. I will. But in the meantime, I might do some videos, and some people like my perspective, other people don't, and that's fine.
It's a nice thing. You get to meet a lot of fun new people in chat.
Yeah,
but you know that you're co-starring other places.
And actually, Brandon wasn't that bad. It's, Gina L says, "Thank you, Yolie, for putting up with Brandon." Yeah, he wasn't that bad.
Brandon isn't bad. No, Brandon is he's a fun guy. Zach and Brandon are very good at breaking tension. So,
yeah, and I have a really thick skin. I mean,
you need that on YouTube.
Later, you might know my background a little more, but I have very thick skin.
And again,
I think you do too.
It's never mean-spirited when they make fun of people. So yeah, and he did tell me he would tone it down a bit. So he's been a good boy today. Thank you, Brandon. Tomorrow I'll have the lovely Brandy Churchwell on at, I believe, 2 p.m. Yes, 2 p.m. tomorrow. I have the lovely Brandy Churchwell on. I still haven't figured out if I'm going to do a stream on Friday, if I can find a creator to take the place of Legal Vice's. Everyone, please, if you haven't already, go to Legal Vice's channel, subscribe to him so we can get that 100,000 play button to his family. And please go sub up to my guest. There will be a baking stream on Friday as well. So you will be entertained in some kind way and fashion.
What exhibit are you referring to?
I'm going to make this 100, Your Honor.
All right.
100. Because it is 100%.
Correct.
So you literally built a cannon?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, I'm in love.
Go back. Please do that again. Oh, that was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
While I'm waiting for this, did you, whether it's true or not, believe that Mr. Randolph had slept with your wife?
I wouldn't have cared.
You wouldn't have cared?
No.
Did you believe he had slept with your wife?
No.
Did you believe he slept with your mother-in-law?